Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. Always awesome to have you guys here and sharing my tips and the way I've worked and techniques. Thank you. If you guys want to see, by the way, how to paint clouds and how I did this, check out my previous tutorial. But today we're going to repaint this painting, and what we're going to do is paint a garden house with lots of flowers and stuff like that. And so that's what the patrons decided to paint, and we'll go ahead and do that. And let's go over some of the materials needed for today. So we need the blending brush set. We need the cheap Artist Loft brush set. And we're gonna need some of this artist sponges. You can get them at Michael's or maybe even online. So we're gonna need this for adding bushes, and I'll show you how to do that. And then of course the double round detail brush. And you know, some of these brushes we might use and might not, and I'll be showing you guys what I'm using as we go along. So let's now go over the paint. We need ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow, carbon black, titanium white, and naphtha red light. And of course we need a palette of some sort, a palette knife to mix our paint, and a jar of water where you can leave your brushes so they won't dry, and some paper towels to wipe off your palette knife or your brushes. Alright guys, let's go ahead and start putting the first layers, and we'll mix our colors and go ahead and start doing this. First of all, what we're gonna do is we're gonna, sketch out like where we want the windows to be and the door to be, and kind of have a rough idea of where we want it to be, the placing to be. Because you can have the door to be off-centered, or you can have it centered. Today we're gonna do it centered. So we're gonna have the door right here and right in the middle, and windows on the side. And that's the idea, and then we're gonna have some flowers around. And what I do first is I start with the furthest point, which is, what is the furthest point before the flowers and bushes? It's the wall. It's the wall and the color of the wall, right? The siding or the cement, whatever the texture you want the wall to be. So we're gonna just do a background first. Gonna cover it, all of this, with pretty much the wall, and then we're gonna put the road here, or the sidewalk as well. So let's do that. And what I got here is I got some yellow, a little bit of red, and more white, and then carbon black, a little bit of yellow, and just white. We're gonna mix these and see what colors it gives me. And this color will be for the background, for the wall. We're gonna see first what colors it gives us. We want it pretty light. We don't want it too dark, and we don't want it too colorful as well, because we're gonna have a lot of flowers around this wall. So we want it to be very neutral and pretty light. So as you can see, mine turned out kind of like a peachy color. I want to add a little bit of more white on this color, and just because it's a little too colorful and dark. Now I'm going to mix this one, and this color will be for the road, for the sidewalk. Okay, and this color looks like it's good. I like this color, so we're going to leave this one as it is. And these are, first we're just putting the base colors. So we're going to lay down that first, and then just start adding layers. There you go. And we got two shades. I'm gonna add a little bit more white, and then we can start laying the wall colors. So what I did was right here, I'm going to take some of this out aside like this, because it's a strong color, and I think we don't want to start mixing too much. Because I already have a lot of paint and the canvas is not that big. So we're gonna go ahead and leave that. So we're gonna use this, and we might use this shade, we might not, but I just pulled it aside for now. Right about there. And what I'm gonna do here is drag some of this gray color and mix it with titanium white and make a lighter gray color. We're gonna create a couple shades. It's important to have shades. Okay, right there. Let's lay down our first coats. So what I'm gonna do quickly first is I'm gonna grab my 1/2 inch artist lock brush and I'm gonna dab it in the water, and I'm gonna grab this gray color, and before actually we start laying, I dabbed it in the water so it could run smoothly. I'm gonna create my shapes where I want the door to be in the window. So I'm just eyeballing it. You can obviously use a ruler or whatever to make sure it's centered if you want it, but I'm gonna eyeball it, and I'm gonna go about like right here. I'm gonna go like this. This will be where the door will end. About right there, and I think I'm gonna draw it about this high. This high, and then go down about there. Okay. That will be our door size, and then our window will be right next to this door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it just a little bit higher, actually, right about there. And I'm eyeballing this. You can have the windows be as big as you want it to be for you. Right about there. That's where our window will be on the right side, and about the same distance away on this side, just eyeballing it. Again, you can measure it and make sure it's exactly the same level and all that stuff, and that's what I actually do. But this is how I paint. So I first sketch it out, and then I go over in detail and measure and make sure everything is like leveled and the placement of the windows is correct. But you know, you don't have to have it like completely perfect. Sometimes I paint pictures and it's not completely perfect, so just keep that in mind. It doesn't have to be completely perfect. So about right there. There, that's where the windows will be and the door will be, okay? And now we can start laying our background color. So I'm gonna dab my fluffy brush. I'm gonna grab my number 8 fluffy brush, dab it in the water, and it's pretty damp and wet. I'm gonna grab this color, this lightest color right here that we have, and I'm gonna start covering everything right here. Just covering it up. You can bring that down like this if you want. And right about there. Okay. And I'm kind of painting thick because I'm trying to cover this paint. If you can totally, you know, if you have a blank canvas, then use it, and yeah, you can go a little thinner, but I'm painting thicker to cover my background. So right about there. And I'm gonna and this is just one color, and I'm swirling lightly after I added my and I'm not gonna go all the way down. I'm gonna go about there and just blend everything in nicely, just right about to this point, because I'm gonna add flowers here, so it's all gonna be covered. So just blend it in. This should be easy, about right there. And now what I'm gonna do is grab this other color, remember this color that we mixed, and I'm just gonna bring it down and just for fun cover this. This will be our background. Because we're gonna cover all this area with flowers, so it doesn't really matter that much. But just to get the base coat laid out, we're gonna go ahead and put it there. And same thing here. Right about there. And I'm just kind of covering it all up. Right there. And then for the bottom part, I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm just gonna use the same brush and use this gray color. And I'm gonna go ahead and use the lighter one because I think that one's a bit too dark. But just go with the lighter one and just go straight like this. This will be where our sidewalk will be, right about there. You can go up to the door. And this part could be, you know, you can blend it in with, just cover the canvas pretty much. Cover your canvas first, right there. So that will be where our sidewalk will be. Okay, now that we covered our canvas, I'm gonna go ahead and step back and look at the painting. Do I like the background? Do I like how dark it is? Do I like the color? If I like it, sweet, I'm gonna go ahead and start laying the next layers. But for me, from what I'm looking at it, I want it to be a little lighter and maybe add a little bit of more yellow instead of making it too pink. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. So I just added titanium white and a little bit of yellow right here. I'm just gonna mix these, and doesn't have to be perfect, but around right there. And what I'm gonna do is go ahead and clean my fluffy brush and then clean it up, squeeze it out. So then I have it still wet. And I'm gonna grab this color and then just lay it down right in this corner. And if some of the color behind shows through, that is cool. Totally leave it as it is. It makes it look, makes your house look a little rusty and interesting. So that's actually pretty cool. So if some of this pink shows through, that's awesome. Leave it. So there you go. And as you could see, I covered my outline of the windows. That's just for me to see how, it would look, where the placement will be. So that's why I don't focus on trying to draw all the details of the doors and windows yet. I don't do that. I just first sketch it down, and then from there it's all about layers. So right there, and this part, remember, I'm gonna cover it most of it, so it doesn't have to be perfect right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave that color like that. That will be my background colors right there. There you go, and I'm gonna wait now until it dries, and what I do is I use a hair blow dryer to speed up the process. And call it good. I'm just gonna touch up some of these areas, add a little bit of more of this color. Right there. There you go. Perfect. All right, so now once I, dried the painting out with the hair blow dryer, then don't worry about like spots like these. Mine, I repainted my canvas, so that's why it's kind of messy. It looks a little messy. Yours could be a little smoother, and it's totally fine. Messy looks fine too because it brings out like texture in your wall on the house, which looks kind of cool. So I'll leave that, and I'm gonna add some flowers here, so I'm gonna cover some of these spots. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but just get kind of the main areas nice and covered. And so once you have that, what I have here is I'm gonna roughly sketch out the windows and the door. So I have red and a little bit of cadmium or yellow, red and yellow, a little bit of yellow, and it's still gonna be red. And I'm gonna make my door red. You can make your door light blue color, yellow, whatever you want your door to look like. I'm gonna go with a red color. So this will be my door, and then I have just titanium white there just in case I need to use it, but just carbon black, and then here is the carbon black and yellow. I'm gonna mix these. This will be for my bushes, for my background bushes. What we're gonna paint is the bushes, like cover, like kind of like like dab it and place it where we want it to be. It'll be like the first sketch. So right there. Maybe I'm gonna grab some of this gray and mix it with this color. We don't want it too dark yet. About right there. Okay, now let's draw and fill in these doors and windows. So I'm gonna grab my number 8 flat brush, and I'm gonna dab it in the water, and I'm gonna go start with red. Cover the door first, so roughly sketch it out. So now you could use tape, like masking tape, to tape down the areas and just draw it. It makes the line straighter if you want. I do that. That's what I do to make it super straight. But first, before that, I first sketch it and place where I want my door and windows to be, and then after I sketch it, I go back in detail, and that's when I actually use the masking tape. But this will be a rough draft. We're not gonna get into masking tape. You get the idea. I'm just showing you the process. So roughly around there. Right there. And I'm gonna fill this in, cover it all with this red color that we have here. And I'm gonna draw a line straight right here. That's where the door will end. Right about there. Okay, cover it all with red, and that will be our base coat for the door. Now I'm gonna clean my brush, use the same brush, and use this black, just pure black, and we're gonna draw our windows. So I'm gonna draw it flat right there, and I'll have it end right about there. I'm gonna dab my brush in the water so it can run smoothly. Grab some more black and draw it flat right there. Right about right there. Okay, that will be our window size. That's how I'm gonna make it. You can make it as big as you want, as wide as you want. Totally up to you. So then just cover it with black. About right there. And then I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm gonna eyeball it and about right there. I would say about right there. Okay, and then cover it all with black. About rough draft right there, right? So we have the door and the windows. That's kind of like our base focal points, right? Right there. So now, what I'm gonna do is, and with this, you know, I can draw like an outline, go around and draw like a black line going down here and lightly draw that going down there. And then with the black, I'm gonna draw a couple windows here. So I'm gonna use this and draw like a flat, you know, window, right, one right here and one flat right there. That will be where our window and the door will be. About right there. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna use the same color, dab it in the water, and I'm gonna draw like a little line straight down from the top. This will be like the wall. Oops, I went a little too far. Then what I do when I mess up a little bit, I dab my paper towel and in the water and just kind of wipe it off. It's super easy. And just clean it out. Right there. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna continue drawing our sketch using the same brush and dabbing my brush in the water, and then I'm gonna draw a line here where the, you know, door ends. I'm gonna draw like a little entryway right about here. I'm gonna sketch it out and draw like a line here going down like this. Draw a line right here and then kind of like coming out like this. And what I'm gonna do is draw a line like this, roughly draw a line like that. And the reason why I'm doing this, and you'll see why I'm doing all this, but I'm just drawing a sketch first. I'm gonna continue with this brush and I'm gonna draw some more details on the window. I'm gonna draw like a little flat, like a shade for this window going down. Same thing on this side. Sorry, it's a little messy. It's super awkward to paint. I'm like painting super sideways, so I'm not making it too perfect. But you get the idea. Make a straight line, as straight as you can. Oops. And you can draw in some of the, what is it called, flowers, and cover some of this window. So, this part of the window is going to be like almost halfway covered. This will be covered as well, so it, you know, your sketch could be rough. So now I'm going to grab my white and this, you know, pink color that we have left over, and because I want to draw the window and continue it down flat, straight down. You can have as thick as you want. Right about there. Same thing here. About there. Make this one a little thicker. Now it's easier to, you know, use the masking tape and, like I said, to tape this and draw it out and make it straight. And that's what I do after I do the sketch like this. But I'm just showing you how I draw and how I draw my sketch, and then how I go into detail. I'm explaining it as well, because this could take hours to, you know, do everything exactly the way I work. But the idea is here, and I hope you'll you know, catch the idea and, you know, have fun. Maybe doing it in your own style, your own way. So now I'm going to grab the titanium white and dab it in the water, and I'm going to draw like the rims of my windows. So I'm going to go down and draw white right here, and white right about there. Same thing here. And I'm going to draw maybe a white rim right in the middle right here. Same thing here. And let's add the white around here. Rough sketch. Alright, and then continue with the white and draw some of these skinny lines. This is where you close and open the window, you know, that thing. Maybe one here. Same thing here. Right there. Okay, now we're going to draw some of this white lines here as well. So we're gonna lightly and then all right, that'll be the windows in the door. I'm gonna clean my brush and then use black again. And I actually want to add a little bit more detail. I'm going to add like a little thing here, a little doorknob here, and then I'm going to add this design in the door. You can see, you know, this interesting design. my rough sketch. Okay. Now I can grab your artist sponge, any sponges. I'm gonna grab a smaller one because I'm using a small canvas, but you can grab any and choose the best side and experiment by dabbing your brush. So first I dab it in the water and like squeeze it out so it could be kind of wet, and then what I do is I choose a side that works best, and what I do is I grab some of this color, remember we mixed earlier, and I'm gonna test it out right here on the side, see? That's what we want. We want that, you know, bushy effect, right? So I'm gonna grab this and then go ahead and start adding some of the bushes here and where I want them to be, right? And I'm just gonna cover this area, maybe go up here, maybe if some of them are, you know, going all the way up, like this. And just cover. And then here, I'm gonna like add a little more dark on the bottom. But as I go up, it'll be a little lighter. And I'm just constantly, you know, grabbing this one color and adding my first layer of this bushy color. And I'm gonna go up all the way up to here. There. And then I'm gonna draw some in here. One that is going kind of off track, like this, and then going right down right here. Okay, and then now I'm going to draw one that kind of makes a little circular here and kind of coming out right there. Yours could be a little different than mine. Have fun with it. Doesn't have to be exactly like it. But that is how I drew my garden house. If you take a look on my Instagram page, ColorByFeliks, you'll see my hyperlapse video of how I, you know, painted a bigger size, 30 by 40 inch canvas of the same kind of idea, the same kind of painting. This is just a smaller version. I'm just looking at my iPad right now, seeing what I did, because I kind of went with the flow, and then now I'm just trying to you know, copy it, replicate. I think that's how you say it. So right there, just covering it, because that's how I have it on my picture. You can have it a little different, and please do have it a little different. Actually, I would encourage you to have fun, do it in your style. People have been tagging and sharing their pieces of recreations, and it's amazing to see how, you know, there's so many different styles and techniques, and the way people create these paintings. From my tutorials, it's so cool to see that. I always love to see that. There's never one style, and that's the fun part about art, is that it's always different. No matter who paints it, it's always going to be different. Right there, just covering it, you know, getting my base coat down right about there. So we kind of, oh, I forgot this area. I'm gonna go in here, a little one, and this one kind of comes down, and there's a small one that comes down about there. okay? Right about there. There you go, our first coat, right? We got our first coat. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add just the yellow into my black and right here of the leftover colors. So this is the leftover. I'm gonna drag it and put it here. Maybe grab some of this black and maybe this gray, just whatever color you have left. And just any shade of dark green will do. So it gave me this green color. It's a little lighter than, you know, than the darkest color we added. I'm gonna do the same thing here. Actually, I'm gonna add a little more gray. I'm gonna do the same thing, but with this color. So I'm gonna grab my sponge, and I'm not gonna clean it, but I'm gonna test it and then start adding lightly this green shade. This will be really quick. There's not much because it's almost the same color, but you know, we're creating different shades. That's what we're doing. That's why it's so important to you know, have not just one color but a lot of colors, different shades. It'll make your paintings stand out and make it look super interesting. So you can't really see it on the video, but in real life you can see that dark green shade, and it makes the painting really pop out. So there you go. So I added that green. You can't see it, but I'm gonna add a little more yellow, and this time I'm gonna add ultramarine blue. I'm gonna add a touch of ultramarine blue, not that much. And as you could see right here, just a touch. I'm gonna grab this leftover, mix it with ultramarine blue right here, and it'll give me a green shade. You can see this green color. It's getting lighter and lighter. That's what we want. So we're gonna do the same thing, and we don't need to clean our sponge, and you know, test it on the side and start adding. On the bottom, leave this dark on the bottom because that's where the shadows of the bushes are gonna be. So leave that, but everywhere else kind of, you know, add it in some areas. You don't have to add it everywhere, but just in some areas, add this green color, okay? As you could see, I'm not adding everywhere. So about there. And then do the same thing. We're gonna add more yellow. And this time we're gonna mix it with a little bit of titanium white that we have here, and just the leftover here. We don't need to add more blue. It'll still give us green right there. Right about there. And I'm gonna use the same sponge, test it. If I like it, find your angle, and go ahead and add these bushes. And now you could start to see some of these bushes come to life. And I'm not adding everywhere, because if you start adding everywhere, you won't see the shadows, or, you know, so make sure you're just adding on some areas. You know what I mean? So, right about there for this guy. Okay, and then maybe some here. Okay, and then lightly right about there. And now we're gonna add another shade, even lighter. So we're gonna just add yellow, nothing else but just yellow. Let's do that. So just yellow, and then, you know, find your angle. And just on some areas where you think the sun will be hitting your bushes, just start adding some of the highlights here. Maybe some are actually coming out into and hitting the window here. Okay. I'm going to add a little more yellow. I ran out. As you can see, I'm adding it on some areas, not everywhere. Okay, just about there. All right, so we got our sketch down right here. Now, what we're gonna do is keep adding layers. And some of these blobs that I added, I'm gonna cover it, you know, with one of my Artist Love brushes, and cover it with a darker green. Make sure it's not too strong. And you just cover some of these so they won't be too strong. Super easy. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is grab my number two mop brush. I'm gonna grab this, you know, any dark color, and just dab it with water and lightly work transparent. And I'm gonna lightly create some shadows where I want some of these bushes to be darker. Okay, so I'm gonna create, and remember this area right here, this will be our darkest area. So I'm gonna cover this and cover some of this right here. Maybe here as well on the bottom side, right about there. And same thing here on the bottom. Cover the shadows, you know, cover it, make it a little darker on the bottom here. And same thing here. I'm gonna grab the darkest color right here and blend these in. Maybe even drag it down and cover your a little bit of the road. So I'm gonna actually do that. I'm gonna go ahead and cover some of this and make it this road a little more interesting. So I'm gonna create some, you know, some shadows and whatnot. Not everywhere, but just on some areas. Right about there. So I'm gonna clean it out and just blend it all nicely in together. Use the paper towel to dry it. Right here, just dry your brush, and then what I do is I just lightly you know, blend so it won't look like just smudges. And if some are darker like this, that's okay. That could be like a little rock, you know, a little rock on the road. And just lightly blend. Create shadows. Maybe this side will be darker. Clean my brush. I added a little too much there, and this is easy. What I do is I clean my brush, and with clean brush, I just drag it out. Just drag it out. Pull it away. Maybe pull it upwards. Maybe add shadows right here. Now it's really all about adding layers and layers of, you know, of shadows and different kind of colors. Blend these in. I want this to be darker here. This will be like a, you see I'm adding it, I'm not covering all the white this wall, I'm just adding some of this interesting texture. It makes it look like a nice texture on this wall when you start adding more and more of this, you know, layers like this. All right. Right there. Now what we're gonna do is grab our number 2 artist loft brush. I'm gonna dab it in the water. I'm gonna grab this dark black color right here that we have. I'm gonna create a shadow and a shade here. And I'm gonna, with water and a little bit of black, work transparent and create my shadow here. Because the plants are covering this side of the door, so we wanna cover it and make it look dark on one side of the door. It makes it look like 3D when we add shadows like that. Okay, I'm gonna add a little more on top here. Maybe cover some of this area on top. And on this side, I'm gonna add a lighter color, and that will be just yellow. So I just have my yellow here. I'm gonna grab that clean my brush so I won't have any black on it. And just with water and yellow, lightly, transparently, I'm gonna add a yellow right here. See how nicely it starts to pop out? Just with yellow. And just cover it on this side. Don't go all the way down there. That will be the darker area of the door. Right about there. Add a little more on this side, make it brighter. Right about there. You could see the door starting to pop out, and that's what we want. Right, that's what we want. We want to make it look 3D-ish. maybe even add some of a little bit of white and just white and water, and add highlights, reflection in the window here lightly. So now I'm going to do the same thing, grab the little bit of this black and water and create a shadow right on this side, because this is like it's creating depth. So I'm going to just blend it in just with black right on this side, and just take it out and blend it out like this. Just blend it out. You can use your finger to do that as well. As you can see, it's starting to come out nicely. These shadows. And the more you add layers, the more, you know, it comes to life. It's really fun, really fun. So, creating shadows. Just go over some of these areas and create some shadows with just black and water. I'm going to split some of these. Right about there. Okay. And I'm also adding some shadows, you know, under these windows right here. Maybe not too, don't bring it too low, but just draw it right here, and then with your finger you can kind of clean it out. Same thing here, maybe even here, just on here, on the corners. And around your bushes right here. Okay. And it's coming together nicely, as you could see. I'm going to add a little more darker here. Same thing right here. All right, then. And you know what, I'm gonna add another line here. Drag this one down here and this one down here, and I'm gonna draw another line right about here, and going like this with just black. Same thing here, like that. There you go. And I'm gonna clean my brush, use the same brush, and just with titanium white go over these, and next to this color lightly draw white. Creates like a oops, too much here. Now I'm going to add some rocks. So I have this light gray color right here that we have left, and I'm going to draw some rocks right here, like little, you know, rocks, and they're going in, and they're going in the bushes like little, you know, like fun little rocks. Right about there. Okay, same thing here. I'm gonna draw some rocks hiding right in here. Maybe they're trying to go down, but then they disappear. Right about there. And I'm gonna draw some yellow on them, like little touches of yellow, just the shadows Not on everywhere, you know, just on some. And maybe some white, and have fun creating some of these rocks and making them stand out a little more. What about there? And then what I'm gonna do is use the black, just black in the same brush, and I'm gonna draw, actually, you know, instead of that, I'm gonna grab my detail brush. This is supposed to be for the details, so I'm gonna grab my black here, and I'm gonna go ahead and draw some of the rocks and outline them, you know, and combine them together. Some connect, some split up. So just do that. Okay, and then do the same thing here. Some connect, some split up. And then right behind that area is a little darker because it goes in. So right about there. I live by the railroad tracks, so we get train noises often, and sometimes that is my alarm clock. It could be a positive thing and it could be a negative thing. Like sometimes I want to sleep in on the weekends when I work tough and hard. I want to have a good nap, and the railroad and the train wakes me up and doesn't give me good rest. And other times I actually had this happen where I woke up and my alarm didn't go off for some reason, but the train woke me up. So that was a lifesaver for me. All right. Okay, with the detail brush, I'm gonna draw some of these, lightly draw you know, these little tiles or something. And just drag them down here. Okay, right there. Now I can go back and make it as perfect as I want. And I usually do that. So you can spend a lot of time adding details and outlining as, you know, as you got the layout down. Now you go back in detail and use the detail brush and just outline them. Again, you can use a masking tape to draw some of these straight lines down. Right. Okay, and then what I'm gonna do is add some of the white. And I'm using my same brush, and I'm gonna work transparent. Add some yellow and whatever color you want. And on some of these tiles, I'm gonna create little nice lighting on them, and then just clean it out with my finger and make it look interesting. Okay, and then I'm gonna grab my number 2 Artist Loft brush and create some dark areas alongside here, some shadows. Some shadows coming out like this. Not everywhere, but just on some. Just lightly blend it in. Blend it in, and I'm going to of more gray. Added a little bit too much here. And make this side lighter. Play around, you know, add the shadows, shades you want on your ground, but the more you add, the more interesting it starts to look. So just keep that in mind. And, you know, I continue adding and adding until I like it, but I'm gonna leave the ground as it is. And let's start adding flowers. Let's see how that will turn out. All right, so now I have this ultramarine blue and just white. I'll mix that, and that will be one of my colors for the flowers. I'm gonna actually grab some of this red here. I want it to make it look a little purplish. And make my flower look a little purplish. Right there. So then with a detail brush, I'm gonna go ahead and, this is the fun part. This is where wherever you wanna add them. And I'm gonna add, you know, not everywhere, but on some, just slightly. Just create some of them bigger, some of them smaller. And just add them wherever you want them to be. Right about there. And then some here maybe, some small ones, and then going up you could see some bigger ones here. Maybe some of these are hitting this window and are, you know, coming out like this, and then some here, and I'm gonna take it out actually right here. I don't need it there. And just add them where you want them to be. But not everywhere, just on some areas. So I'm gonna call it good for my blue. That'll be good. That will be one of my first flowers added. Now I'm gonna just add white. White is gonna be a lot everywhere. And so I'm gonna add white flowers, and that will be mainly actually here. So I'm gonna add some of them coming down here like this. And yeah, these are gonna be mainly on top here. You know. And then just dab it lightly. You get the idea. Now I'm adding just pink. I just added a little bit of red to my white, and I'm just covering these areas with pink. I'm using this Artist Loft cheap brush. It's a smaller size flat. I'm just using it, change it up a little bit. It comes in packs again, so I would recommend you guys trying some, cheap brushes every once in a while, because that's sometimes where you can find your brush. It doesn't always have to be expensive stuff, And just dab it on, make it look very busy, because that's how the garden is. It's always busy with tons of vegetation and flowers and things like that. Things of that nature. If you added too much, you can wipe it off. Just use a wet paper towel and it comes out nicely and easily. And I'm just gonna, add it kind of everywhere on top right here. And maybe some on the bottom. Randomly. Okay, so now I'm gonna add some yellow. Just pure yellow. We're gonna add it on the bottom here. I'm gonna add some on the bottom, right in here, and just maybe some are coming out like this. Maybe on this side as well. And just pure yellow. Randomly add them where you want it to be. And final color will be red, just pure red. And let's add little ones randomly everywhere. That's adding these primary colors to your, straight from the tube. Has flowers, it makes them really, your painting to pop out. If you want yours to look saturated. I'm randomly adding them everywhere. That's how I do it. All right, and then with my number 2 fluffy brush, that's where I'm gonna go ahead and cover some of the top area with just, like a black color, maybe a little bit of just maybe a black color right here. And blend some of these in. I don't want them to pop out too much. I want this side to be pretty dark. So maybe some here as well. And I add as much as I want, everywhere I want. And once that is done, once I'm happy where the flowers are, I go back and I do this. I grab carbon black and water, and I constantly dab my brush in the water, and I'm using this round double detail brush, and lightly, almost like painting with watercolor, using lots of water and black. What I do is I go over each flower and I create the shape I want of the flower to look like, okay? I create the shape, go over, maybe add some dots in the flowers, you know, and just go over. You don't have to necessarily go over every flower, you know, but just on some of these flowers, just lightly go and, you know, go over them. And that takes patience. That's where you have to sit and for a while, and you know, and I'm kind of doing this quickly to show you that what I'm doing, but I usually do this slowly and take my time on this. But just to show you what I do is, that's how I do it. I just go over and draw the details and go around each flower and with black. And then, you know, I do that on each flower, and it makes the flower really come to life, as you could see, like this one, for example. See, I drew that and maybe dab it a little so it won't, and then put some seeds inside, you know, and dab it a little. And then do the same thing here, bring it down, same thing around here. You see what I'm doing? And then I clean it up, and then same thing here, and just go over each flower, have fun. I'm not gonna go over everything, but you got the idea. Okay, now once you did that, you can add some. What I do here is I'm gonna grab this yellow leftover and some of this, a little bit of this black, and what I do here is I'm gonna create some of the leaves. So also using water and this detail brush, and what I do is just create some of these, you know, leaves coming out, maybe some sticking out right here, maybe in here, maybe some in here, maybe this one out like this, maybe in the background right there. And just create your leaves. Maybe this is coming out like this. Same thing here. Just create them where you want it to be. And obviously I do it a little bit slower, and I go and draw them where I want them to be. And just create leaves. You get the idea. Okay, and there you have it. Now what I do is I'm gonna grab my white right here, and then I'm just gonna create some of these little ones in the background, and I'm gonna dab it using my artist loft brush, just on some areas. And do the same thing but with black, and the areas where you left them blank, just go over underneath with black. And add some black here, make your, you know, painting, black makes the painting stand out nicely. So, yeah, so just do that wherever you want the more shadows and more right about there. And actually I'm going to add some more pink here. pink flowers. And there you go. And this is a sketch. Again, I go over with a detail brush and go over each little detail and add layers and layers and make everything perfect and straight. It's all up to you how detailed you want it. It's just have fun with it, create it, and see where it takes you. Again, the more colors and details, the more layers you add, the more it comes to life. So have fun, and I hope this was helpful. Please let me know what you thought down below, and thanks again, guys, and take care and God bless. See you guys next time.